So Jesus wants to teach this video, so I'm going to teach it with Jesus. Come divine will, come teach in my teaching. John chapter 3 verse 34. He whom God has sent utters the words of God, for it is not by measure that God gives the Spirit. In another translation, God gives the Spirit without measure. God gives the Spirit without measure. I want to do another series of teachings on the actual Holy Spirit, a Life in the Spirit seminar type model. But I'm just going to sort of open this one up. In the New Testament, when the parents of John the Baptist are filled with the Holy Spirit, when the apostles are filled with the Holy Spirit, when the people of God are filled with the Holy Spirit, the Greek word used is plenos. Plenos means to be overflowing. Now, St. Bernard of Clairvaux explains this. St. Bernard of Clairvaux is like one of the founder of the Cistercians, lived around the 12th century. And he writes, many Christians are like canals, which the water rushes through. And these canals in hot, sunny weather can dry up. So many Christians are like that. Most, he says, are like that. Back then, I can see it now. You know, we were so filled with the Spirit and then we're off. And then we're dry. And we're empty and we're weak. But he said, Christians should really be like reservoirs, where you spend time in God's presence, being filled. And then when you are filled, you overflow, plenos. And you minister from your overflow. So you do not minister from the fill. The fill is what keeps you alive. You minister from the overflow. Then he says, we should not try to outdo God in generosity. God ministers to us from his overflow. God has no dryness. He has no barrenness. He has no, oh, I'm done for today. He has none of that. He ministers from the overflow. That's our model, to minister from the overflow. How do we get there? We have to spend more time in silence, in solitude, before God. Now I can almost hear you shouting at the camera, how am I going to get time for silence and solitude? Folks, if you wanted silence and solitude, God would give it to you and you would suddenly find you have it. Everybody can have an opportunity for silence and solitude. The problem is that most of us don't take it when it's offered to us. We fill the time with a movie or with a phone call, with mobile, with computer. We fill it. The minute you know God has offered you a time of silence and solitude, and that you can get the fire in that time, you can get the overflow in that time, take it. God gives the Spirit without measure. God does not apportion. God does not cut up the Spirit. God does not slice him up and say, okay, here's a bit for Genevieve, a bit for John, a bit for Patrick, a bit for Anna. No. He gives the Spirit without measure, without limit. Plenos. For you to overflow. The word plenos, really, the sense is of a cup under a tap, and the tap is turned on and is perpetually on, so the cup is constantly overflowing. That's the word. And this is what happened to the apostles in the New Testament. It talks about Peter, filled with the Holy Spirit, spoke to the Sanhedrin. Plenos. He was overflowing. He was always ministering from his overflow. That's where we need to be at. The church has been in a perpetual Pentecost since Acts chapter 2, 33 AD. Perpetual Pentecost. We are in a perpetual Pentecost. Spend the time in silence. Get to the place of overflow. Fiat voluntas tua.